Our hearts go out at this moment to the people of the Bahamas who have suffered unprecedented disaster due to Hurricane Dorian. We pray that the world will come together so as to provide desperately needed resources for rescue, for recovery, and then for rebuilding. Lives have been lost. Lives have been permanently shattered. Lives have been thrust into frustration and despair. We call to mind the admonitions found in the book of Job, that we human beings have very little understanding of the cosmic forces that shape our destiny. We study, we investigate, we probe, we experiment, but then at the end of the day, we only can just stand in awe before the malevolent and magnificent mysteries of creation. Ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai. How great are your works, O God. We don't understand them. We celebrate them. We fear them. Prophecy filled the air this week. Dorian is going to make landfall here. Dorian's going to make landfall there. Dorian's going to hit Miami. Dorian's going to hit Boca. Perhaps Dorian is going to hit West Palm. Meteorologists have fantastic tools at their disposal. They save lives through their warnings and their analyses and predictions and concerns. But let's face it, nature is the setting for many competing forces and factors, so many that absolute certainty about what is coming next, absolutely beyond our grasp. We are forced right now to do the best we can. So we settle for uncertainty and we embrace the reality that uncertainty is just about the only certainty in our daily lives. So what if there arises a person who claims that through prophecy they can accurately predict what is coming next? Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be Marty McFly? Remember? Marty McFly. Going back 30 years in time so that he unerringly knows what is going to happen next because it has already happened. What would you do? Would you invest heavily in the stock market? Bet on the World Series? Back the winning political candidate even before they know that they're going to be a candidate, let alone before they know they're going to be victorious in the process? How cool would that be? Our Sedra is Shoftim, Deuteronomy 16, verses 18 and following. Moses tells the people, from among your own people, the eternal your God will raise up for you a prophet like myself, whom you will heed. So Moses, right before he dies, tells the people, don't worry, there will be additional prophets. They'll be coming. God will appoint them. But how will the Israelites know that these prophets are authentic? Our text states that if the oracle spoken by that person does not come true, then that person is a Navi Sheker, a false prophet. Thanks a lot. A lot of problems here. A person claims to be a prophet and tells us what's going to happen, but we will only know that the prophet is a true prophet or not when or if the prophecy is fulfilled. So what are we supposed to do in the meantime? How do we hedge our bets? Do we do what this prophet tells us to do, just in case the prophet was in fact sent by God? Or do we nothing at all until the final results are in, but by that time, we might have doomed ourselves to destruction? Then what good is having a prophet? And besides, what about that old bugaboo that we call free will? Somebody comes and tells us that this or that is going to happen, but if things are inevitable, then where is our freedom to make our choices to shape parts of our own destiny? Where is our soul, our conscience? Where's our humanity? And by the way, pity the person who is a real prophet, who warns the people listen, and then change their behavior so that nothing bad that had been prophesied actually occurs. That prophet will then become the focus of public scorn. That scenario is what drives the prophet Jonah to distraction. After he emerged from the whale, he saves the people of Nineveh. By the way, Jonah despised the people of Nineveh. Another story. And they probably thought little of him as well. But Jonah prophesied, they listened, they repented, nothing bad happened. Jonah's in despair. Poor pay. I wouldn't recommend the job to my children or grandchildren. Thankless job, and by the way, very dangerous. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, former chief rabbi of the UK, uses our Sedra to warn against being too trusting of charismatic authority. Some individuals look so attractive. They speak words that we long to hear. They make promises that lighten our day. If only we do exactly what that charismatic person, that charismatic authority wants of us, then the Garden of Eden will blossom in our very own backyards. Not today, of course, not tomorrow, not next week, but trust me, coming soon, it'll happen. Follow me, do what I say, it'll work out. Soon. Abram Joshua Heschel, in his magisterial volume, The Prophets, makes the case for prophets not as fortune tellers or those who unveil a preordained future, but rather Heschel encounters the prophets as moral agents. The prophets carry a message that literally burn in their guts. In the words of Jeremiah, my internal organs are inflamed. I can't resist. I have to speak the message of God. God's message is eating me up from the inside. I have to speak what I know to be the truth. The prophet is ripped apart by human compassion, but the prophetic message will be delivered. And such a message is rarely a message of easy hope and sunny days. We want and we need scientists to tell us about that violent hurricane that's being tracked. Though some few, a foolhardy few to be sure, will disregard the weather warnings at their own peril, most rational folks will do what needs to be done in case things get as bad as predicted. We need meteorologists. Fine. And we want and we need scientists to set down the facts for us as to what global warming and climate change are all about. We need to know, not with absolute certainty, there is no absolute certainty, but rather with high likelihood, where our actions and our failures to act are leading. We need climate scientists and politicians who believe in them. And we need the kind of prophets of whom Heschel taught us, not those charismatic autocrats who use what we want to hear to lead us to do what we really don't want to do. And not the kind of prophets who are no more than fancy fortune tellers, claiming to speak in the name of the God we worship, but really pushing us more into darkness than into light. We hear those voices not infrequently in this political season. We need people who see clearly and who speak the truth to be our guides. What happens to a society that belittles and betrays its minorities? What happens to a family that does not seek to bring to life among the children and the grandchildren a moral vision as how to behave as human beings? What happens? What happens when we are so concerned about our own sensitivities and our own triggers and so forth that we actually ignore the concerns of everyone else around us? What happens? What happens if I knock the paper on the floor? What happens if we destroy the future just so that we can have more goodies for the present? What happens if we stop reaching toward the stars? We just bend our head low and just start tending our own gardens. What kind of a world will that be? We need leaders who are moral agents. We need prophets like that. Okay, so we're on our march toward Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. There's much to think about the choices that we will be making. We can't know the future. But my friends, we yet can shape that future. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Please don't knock things over. And please hit share and enjoy the weekend. Shabbat Shalom.